Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So reading from Bhagavad Gita as it is, Chapter 2, Contents of the Gita summarized. Text number 12. Natu eham jatu nasam natana me jananani paha nachaiva vishyama sarvam vayamata param natu evam jatu nasam natana me janadi paha nachaiva na bhavishyama sarve vayamata param. Word for word. Na, never. Tu, but. Eva, certainly. Aham, I. Jatu, at any time. Na, did not. Asam, exist. Na, not. Tvam, you. Na, not. Ime, of all those. Jana apiha. Adipaha. Kings. Na, never. Cha, also. Eva, certainly. Na, not. Vishyamaha, shall exist. Sarve vayam, all of us. Ata, param, hereafter. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Never was there a time when I did not exist, nor you, nor all these kings, nor in the future shall you cease to be. Please repeat. Never was there a time when I did not exist, nor you, nor all these kings, nor in the future shall any of us cease to be. Purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. In the Vedas, the Katha Upanishad, as well as in the Svetasvatara Upanishad, it is said that the Supreme Personality Godhead is the maintainer of innumerable living entities in terms of their different situations according to individual work and reaction of work. That Supreme Personality Godhead is also, by his plenary portion, alive in the heart of every living entity. Only saintly persons can see, within and without. The same Supreme Lord can actually attain. Only saintly persons who can see, within and without, the same Supreme Lord can actually attain to perfect eternal peace. Nityo Nityanam Chaitasas Chaitanam Eka Bahunam Yo Vidati Kaman Tam Atmas Tam Ye Anu Pashyati Diras Tesam Shanti Shaswati Netre Sam. The Supreme Truth, the same Vedic truth given to Arjuna is given to all persons in the world who pose themselves as very learned, but actually have but a poor fund of knowledge. The Lord says clearly that He Himself, Arjuna, and all the kings who are assembled on the battlefield are eternally individual beings, and the Lord is eternally the maintainer of the individual living entities, both in their condition and their liberated situation. Supreme Personal Godhead is the supreme individual person, and Arjuna, Lord's eternal associate, and all the kings assembled there are individual eternal persons. It is not that they do not exist as individuals in the past, it is not that they will not remain individual eternal persons. Their individuality exists in the past, and their individuality will continue in the future without interruption. Therefore, there is no cause for lamentation for anyone. So that's part of half the purport. Omar Gyanataram Dasya Jananjana Stakaya Shakshuri Mitam Zena Tasmei Shri Gurve Namaha Sri Chaitanya Manobi Stam Stapitam Jena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Gadamayam Danti Swapadantikam Vandeham Sri Guru Sriyata Parakamalam Sri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Sri Rupam Sajitam Sahagana Raganatam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savitam Parinadzitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sagana Lalita Shri Vishakam Tamscha. Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagapade Gopisha Gopikanta Radha Kanta Nosute Tapta Kanchana Gorange Radhe Vrindameshwari Vishavandhu Sute Devi Priyamani Hari Priye Vanchagopatirudya Cha Kripa Sindhu Evacha Palitam Mam Bhavnevyo Vaishnevyo Namo Namaha. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaur Bhaktavinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Natu evaham jatuna sam natva name janadi paha nachaiva navavishamaha sarve varyam ata param. There was a time when I did not exist, nor you, nor all these kings, nor in the future shall any of us cease to be. So Srila Prabhupada lectured on this verse in New York in 1966 at the Dr. Mishra's ashram, where he first stayed in New York. He spoke at length. He spoke mostly about the nature of the soul, about the individuality of the living entity. And I don't think Dr. Mishra was a Mayavadi, and he only let Prabhupada speak a few times. Prabhupada, I don't know, he didn't, although Prabhupada cooked for him, he was in poor health at that time. So Prabhupada helped him regain his health, and was friendly with Dr. Mishra, but he didn't understand Vaishnava philosophy. And then he wouldn't let Prabhupada speak. Prabhupada only spoke there a couple times. Someone recorded it, so we got the recording. So Prabhupada also spoke in Mexico City, he spoke in Hyderabad on this same verse. So he's 3 or 4 lectures on the same verse. And of course Srila Prabhupada was always stressing always countering the Mayavadi conception. As Lord Chaitanya said, if you hear Mayavadi philosophy, then you're doomed. So first Prabhupada said that, Kshatriyas, they must fight to death. The Kshatriya can never refuse a challenge and turn his back in the battlefield. When the King Yudhishthira wanted to perform the Rajasuya sacrifice, he had to get all the kings in the world to consent to his supremacy. But so all the kings in the world except for Jarasandha agreed that Maharaj Yudhishthira should perform the sacrifice, and they paid taxes to taxes. So Lord Krishna was in Dwarka when he heard this, and he didn't know what to do. So he took his advice from Uddhava. Uddhava was Krishna's friend and advisor. So they all went to Hastinapur. The Krishna and his entourage traveled overland from Dwarka to Hastinapur. And then they decided what they should do. They decided that Bhima, Krishna and Arjuna should dress like Brahmins and go to Jarasandha and beg a duel. So they did that because Krishna thought, well, if we fight with Jarasandha, so many people will be killed. Better if we fight with him single-handed. So they went there to Jarasandha dressed as Brahmins. And although Jarasandha was a demon and envious of Krishna, he had attacked Krishna 17 times and was defeated each time. And each time when he was defeated, he'd go back to his ministers and they would say, it was just bad luck. It was just ill luck. He'd try again. They kept trying, but he could never defeat Krishna. But his armies were defeated. But they knew Jarasandha was favorably disposed to Brahmanas. He never refused to give charity to Brahmanas. So Bhima and Krishna Arjuna dressed like Brahmanas, non-Kshatriyas, and they went to Jarasandha at the appropriate time, and they came to Jarasandha and said, we came to beg alms from you. And Jarasandha looked at them and said, these people, they look like someone I've seen in the past, but he couldn't recognize them. But they didn't look like Brahmanas because they had very muscular bodies and they had deep voices, so he could understand they weren't really Brahmanas. But he said, since you're coming here as Brahmanas, I'll give you anything you want. Even if you want my head, I'll give you that. They said, no. Well, we only want one thing from you. We wanted a duel. And Jarasandha heard that. He laughed very heartily and called them fools. All you fools, I don't know why you come here and ask for a duel. And he thought, he was proud. He thought that no one could defeat him. So they went out to the city, and first he said, well, I'm not going to fight with Arjuna because he's not equal to me. And I'm not going to fight with Krishna because he's a coward. Because when I came to fight for the 18th time, he just walked off the battlefield and took shelter in the sea. But Bhima, he's equal to me, so I'll fight with him. So they went off to the, there was a special area designated for fighting. And they were fighting with clubs. And Bhimasen was, and Jarasandha were an equal match. So they were fighting for 28 days, and neither one of them was able to defeat them. No one else, neither one was able to come out victorious. So Krishna knew the secret. Jarasandha was born in two halves by two wives, and the king thought his body was useless, so threw it in the forest. And one witch by the name of Jara, she joined the two halves of the body together and made him alive again. And then, so he picked up a twig from a tree and he split it in half, and he empowered Bhima and indicated how Jarasandha can be defeated. So Bhima understood, so he put his one foot on one leg, and with his hand he pulled the other leg, and he ripped them apart. And that was the end of Jarasandha. So this kings should never refuse to fight, but Arjuna is refusing to fight. So kings would fight, but they didn't. It's not like today, when people go to war, they don't discriminate who gets killed. They kill women and children and people who are not part of the war. But in old times, the Kshatriyas would fight with Kshatriyas only, not with women. They wouldn't disturb the women and children and old people. Even on the battle, etc., there's a rule that the people who were assisting in the battle were not to be harmed. So, but today, they have the atomic bomb. They can drop that any time, and that will not only kill the soldiers, but it'll kill so many innocent people, which they did in World War II in Japan. So they don't know anything about Kshatriyas or conduct or moral principles in this day and age, the age of quarrel and hypocrisy. So Krishna is saying here that he's a person and Arjuna is a person. Nityo nityanam chaitanas chaitanam eko bhuvanam yove vedati kaman. There are many eternals, but there's only one supreme eternal. That is Krishna. Krishna is tu Bhagavan Swayam. So Arjuna was a jiva. There are innumerable jivas, or individual living entities, but the Krishna is Vishnu Tattva, or a jiva, the jiva Tattva, different energies of the Lord. So the jiva can never become the equal to Krishna. The definition of God is the one supreme person no one is equal to or greater than. So the jiva is compared to the sun and the sunshine. Sunshine, or a drop of water from the ocean. You take a drop of water from the ocean, it has all the qualities of the ocean, but it doesn't become the ocean. And so this is the philosophy. Lord Chaitanya came to teach a Chinta Veda Veda Tattva, that we're simultaneously one and different. Qualitatively, we're same as the Lord, but quantitatively we're not. So individual soul, we know our body, but we only know what's going on in our body, but we don't even know that to a full extent, but we don't know what's going on in any other bodies. But Krishna comes not only as he comes as super soul, and the super soul is accompanying the individual soul through 8,400,000 species of life. So the Brahmana, Vidya Vinaya Sampane Mane Gavi Hastini Snichaiva Savaka Cha Pandita Samadarshanha. The humble sage, by virtue of true knowledge, sees with an equal vision a learned and gentle Brahmana, a cow, an elephant, a dog, and a dog eater. So in other words, the Brahmana is supposed to know Brahman, but he also understands that the soul and the super soul exist in the body of all living entities. Therefore, killing and giving pain to living entities is condemned. In the Muslim religion, they think that this cow doesn't have a soul, or its soul is temporary. So I questioned one Muslim, and he was eating meat. I said, how can you eat meat? This is a sinful activity. It's not, we don't allow this in our movement. He said, well, the cow's soul is temporary, so it's okay. And Christians also think the cow doesn't have a soul, so it's okay to kill cows and eat meat. But we understand that killing cows is the most sinful, abominable activity, and you're causing so much pain to innocent animals. And we know the cow is the most dear to Krishna, Go Brahmanya Hitaicha. So the Vedas were read in the Srimad Bhagavatam. If a human being wants to eat animals, meat, he can eat a goat or a deer, but never a cow. This is forbidden. So they knew that 5,000 years ago. There's no even a word of mention of cow eaters. They talk about low-class people, dog eaters, but they don't talk about cow eaters, because everyone knew that you shouldn't kill the cow, because the cow is the most sacred animal. All the demigods reside in the body of the cow, and the stool and urine of a cow is pure, while the stool and urine of any other animal is impure. Even the flies don't land on stool and urine, a cow, and it's used for when we do puja, when we do abhishek, the deities, they use cow urine and cow dung as part of the abhishek, pran pratishtha, when they do installation or abhishek of deities. So cows should never be killed in any circumstance. But because they're killing cows in the world today, this is why there's so much, there has to be war. Everywhere, there cannot be peace in the world as long as the cow killing is going on. So they don't know that. And formerly there were Kshatriyas who had the fighting spirit, Brahmin, Kshatriya, Vaishyas, and Sudras. So Kshatriyas, by nature, they're fighting, they're supposed to go to battle and fight. But others, Brahmins and Vaishyas and Sudras, are not. But in modern day and age, they have wars and they send anybody to war. It's not want to be in a war, and it doesn't have a fighting spirit. That's why in the 70s and 60s and 70s, there was a war in Vietnam, and no one knew what the war was all about. They were sending so many people, young people there, to risk their lives, and they didn't want to go to war. They just ended up taking a lot of drugs and have illicit sex, and nothing was gained by it. And they protested, and finally they ended that war. Then they had a war in Iraq recently, Other wars are going on all over the world, and this is a result of animal killing, and especially cow slaughter. And because they're killing cows and and then so many negative things are coming because they are killing the cows. So the soul is there in 8,400,000 species of life, and the soul cannot be. In the next so many verses, Krishna will explain the nature of the soul, how it can't be cut, can't be burned, can't be withered, can't be so many things that can never affect the soul. But when the soul is in conditioned life under the three modes of material nature, then we identify with the body and we suffer and enjoy in so many ways. So giving harm or causing innocent animals to suffer is a sinful activity, and it should not be done. The Kshatriyas, they can go to the forest and kill animals because they have to practice their art of fighting, and they also go to the forest to keep peace in the forest. If some wild animals are causing too much disturbance, they can kill those animals like tigers and lions. So this is sanctioned, and the animals they kill they bring back for sacrifice. So it says in the 15th chapter, Mamsa Jiva Loke Jiva Bhuta Sanatana. The living entities are my, Krishna says, the living entities, my eternal fragmental parts, that due to conditioned lives are struggling very hard with the six senses, which include the mind. So we are individual now, and we will always be individual. So we never stop being individuals. But the scientists, the modern, have a profound knowledge. And here, it's Krishna's, he's revealing Arjuna's lack of wisdom. And this knowledge, Chintabheda, this is unknown to common men. That there's the Supreme Personality God, He's the maintainer, Bhoktaram Jagnatapasam Sarvaloka Maheshwaram Shridam Sarvabhutanam Kyatramam Shanti Richati. That the Supreme Personality God, He's the maintainer, He's the enjoyer, He's the controller. So therefore, in all circumstances, He exists, and He's the people with profound knowledge, they don't know that there's a controller. They don't know about there's a supreme person. Most religions, they pray to God, but they think God is not it doesn't have a form. God is formless, because when we say form, we think of a material form. So they think God. If we say God's a person, has a form, then they think God has a material form like we do. So then it can't be God. But man is created in the image of God, and if we have a form and we have personality, then we shouldn't deny that God is a person. The Brahma Samhita said that Sarva Karana Karanam, that He's the cause of all causes. So, this is the poor fundamentals. Maya Prikita Gyan. Those are the scientists, those who have some knowledge, but they have a poor fundamental knowledge. Like Prabhupada was preaching in his garden in the Los Angeles temple to scientists. And he's saying, Prabhupada said, you don't know who God is, so we're saying Krishna's God, so why don't you take it? So they couldn't give a good answer to that. But we're saying Krishna's God. Bhagavad Gita says Krishna's God. Srimad Bhagavatam says Krishna's God. And all the Vedas confirm this, that the goal of life is to develop our love for Krishna. Nate vidum sarvagatim hi Vishnu. So Krishna is the authority. If Krishna wasn't an authority, if Krishna wasn't speaking, Bhagavad Gita would have no value. So Krishna Katha it's Krishna speaking, and Krishna Katha is Bhagavad Gita because Krishna is speaking the Bhagavad Gita. So Krishna words are eternal and ever existing, ever fresh. And Srimad Bhagavatam is also Krishna Katha because it's spoken about the name form called pastimes of Krishna. So Vyasadeva compiled all the Vedic literatures, but he only discussed bhakti or devotional service to Krishna briefly. So he was feeling disturbed, or he wasn't satisfied. So Narada Muni, his spiritual master, came and told him that the problem is you haven't delineated the pure devotional service to Krishna. That in all your works, so Krishna tells Arjuna in this chapter that you should not be attracted to the flowery words of the Vedas. Because the Vedas mainly deal with the three modes of material nature. It tells them to rise above this. So it wasn't clear. It didn't make Srila Vyasadeva, although he can pose all the Vedas, Vedantic Veda, Vedavishaham, the goal of the Vedas is know Krishna, when compiled by Krishna. But he didn't make it clear that bhakti or devotional service to Krishna was the goal of the Vedas. So here we'll continue this purport. The Mayavadi theory that after liberation, the individual soul, separated by the covering of Maya or illusion, will merge into the impersonal Brahman and lose its individual existence is not supported herein by Lord Krishna, the Supreme Authority. Nor is the theory that we only think of individuality in the conditioned state supported herein. Krishna clearly says herein that in the future also the individuality of the Lord and others, as confirmed in the Upanishads, will continue eternally. This statement of Krishna is authoritative because Krishna cannot be subject to illusion. If individuality were not a fact, then Krishna would not have stressed it so much, even for the future. The Mayavadis may argue that the individuality spoken by Krishna is not spiritual but material. Even accepting the argument that individuality is material, then how can one distinguish Krishna's individuality? Krishna affirms his individuality in the past, confirms his individuality in the future, and also. So later in the 4th chapter, Krishna says that he spoke this science of Bhagavad Gita to the sun god 120 million years ago. So Arjuna asks, how is that possible? And Krishna says, because I can remember this. You were there also, but you don't remember, but I remember. So Krishna is all cognizant, all-knowing, everything's there in Krishna. So he can, he's affirming what he's saying here. He's always an individual. He spoke the science of Bhagavad Gita 120 million years ago, but the science was lost, so then he felt the need to speak it again to Arjuna, to revive it for the people in this age of Kali Yuga. He has also confirmed his individuality in many ways, and impersonal Brahman has been declared to be subordinate to him. So there's 3 aspects of absolute truth: Brahman, Paramatma, and Bhagavan. These 3. So the 4 Kumaras, the Sukadeva Goswami, 9 Yogendras, they were monists, which means they were Brahman realized, but they hadn't understood anything higher than that. So people may understand, I'm not this body, I'm a spirit soul, but that's not sufficient. One has to have Sambandhan Gyan, Abhideya and Parojana, understand that we have an eternal relationship with Krishna and how to serve Krishna and how to develop our love for Krishna. This is the full understanding. But they weren't Mayavadis. Sukadeva Goswami, the 9 Yogenas, 4 Kamayas, they weren't Mayavadis, they weren't offenders. When Lord Chaitanya was in Benares, he met the Mayavadis, Prakasana Saraswati, who was the chief of the Mayavadis. And Lord Chaitanya says in Chaitanya Bhagavat that he gave Prakasanana's leprosy because he's an offender, but he doesn't know it, why he got leprosy. But because the Mayavadis, they deny, they say God cannot have a form, he cannot have arms, he cannot have legs, he cannot have ears, eyes, nose, mouth. So they say God is dumb, deaf, lame, all these things. So the Mayavadis are the worst offenders. And they may even rise up to Brahman realization, but they have to come back in the material world and suffer again. So it's not a permanent situation. So, but the 4 Kumaras, when they went to Vaikuntha, they tried to enter. They were stopped by the gatekeepers, Jai and Vijay, and then Lord Vishnu came out, and when he smelled the tulsi offered to the Lord, lotus feet, they had a change of heart, and they became Vaishnavas. Same thing, somehow the Sukadeva Goswami refused to come out of the womb. He was in the womb of his mother for 12 years, and he didn't want to get entangled in the material world, but he was a Brahmavadi. But when Krishna had to come there and convince him that you can come out of the womb, you won't get contaminated by the material world. He came out of the womb, and then he went to the forest by his mystic power. He was full grown, but then he came back. He heard a verse from Srimad Bhagavatam. Then he came back and heard the whole Bhagavatam from his father Vyasadeva, and then he became a fully self-realized Vaishnava. So this difference, Ramavadi and Mayavadis. So here Krishna has maintained spiritual individuality all along. If he's accepted as an ordinary conditioned soul, individual consciousness, then its Bhagavad Gita has no value as an authoritative scripture. A common man with all the 4 defects of human frailty is unable to teach that which is worth hearing. So we have 4 defects: imperfect senses, illusion, subject to making mistakes, and cheating propensity. So anyone who's under those 4, has those 4 defects, says here they can't comment on Bhagavad Gita and come to the right conclusion. So Prabhupada says those who comment on Bhagavad Gita but materially motivated, they shouldn't stick their nose in other people's business. So they comment on Bhagavad Gita and they don't give the proper understanding. And you read some other interpretation of Bhagavad Gita, you may or may not even understand that Krishna is speaking to Arjuna. It's just a bunch of word jugglery. And even they show Mahabharata in the video, and Arjuna is speaking on the battlefield, the 11th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. He shows the universal form, and he has a conversation with Krishna, which doesn't make any sense. And they think the Bhagavad Gita ends there. So because they're materially motivated, they're common men, they're subject to 4 defects, they can't give a proper interpretation of Bhagavad Gita. When one accepts Krishna as an ordinary man, the Gita loses all importance. They don't know Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and that he's playing this role as charioteer, and that whatever he says is transcendental. So the Bhagavad Gita is for the people in Kali Yuga, if they get the Bhagavad Gita, read the Bhagavad Gita, they'll understand that human life is not to be wasted simply in trying to enjoy sense gratification, but one should take to devotional service and make his life successful. The Mayavadis argue that the plurality mentioned in this verse is a conventional and that it refers to the body. Provisions previous to this verse, such a bodily conception is already condemned. After condemning the body conception of living entity, how is it possible for Krishna to place a controversial proposition on the body again? Therefore, individuality is maintained on spiritual grounds and is thus confirmed by great acharyas like Ramanuja and others. And Lord Chaitanya taught Achinta Veda Veda Tattva. And when Lord Chaitanya met the Mayavadis at Benares, they spoke Mayavadi philosophy. And Lord Chaitanya defeated all their, they were followers of Shankaracharya, and he defeated all their arguments and converted them into Vaishnavas. And they agreed with Lord Chaitanya. They say, we know that our philosophy is imaginary, but we're just following the line of Shankaracharya. So they all became Vaishnavas. It's clearly mentioned in many places in the Gita that this spiritual individuality is understood by those who are devotees of the Lord. Those who are envious of Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead have no bona fide access to the great literature. The non-devotee's approach to the teachings of Gita is something like a bee licking on a bottle of honey. One cannot have a taste of honey unless one opens the bottle. Similarly, the mysticism of the Bhagavad Gita can be understood only by devotees, and no one else can taste it, as is stated in the 4th chapter of this book. Nor can the Gita be touched by persons who envy the very essence of the Lord. Therefore, the Mayavadi explanation of the Gita is most misleading presentation of the whole truth. Lord Chaitanya has forbidden us to read commentations made by the Mayavadis and warns that one who takes to such an understanding of the Mayavadi philosophy loses all power to understand the real mystery of the Gita. If individuality referred to the empirical universe refers to the empirical universe, then there's no need of teaching by the Lord. The plurality of the individual soul and Lord is eternal fact and is confirmed by the Vedas as above mentioned. So Lord Chaitanya said, if you hear Mayavadi philosophy, then you're doomed. So we're hearing Mayavadi philosophy from Srila Prabhupada, but because he's the founder of Acharya, he's teaching us Mayavadi philosophy so we can understand the difference between Vaishnava philosophy and Mayavadi philosophy and not be misled. But if you just hear Mayavadi philosophy, then you come to the conclusion that it's all one. Everything's one, and the goal of life is to merge into Brahman and lose our individuality. And this kind of liberation is not at all desired by the devotee. Liberation and stands with folded hands in front of the devotee. The devotee doesn't want liberation. These are called bhukti mukti. These are two witches, which are anarthas that cause one to fall down from devotional service. Desire for liberation and desire for material sense enjoyment. So the desire for liberation means desire for this impersonal liberation. And even the 5 kinds of liberation that is available in Vaikuntha, to become one with the Lord, or have a bodily feature like the Lord, or to be on the same planet as the Lord, to be near the Lord, these liberations are also not desired by the Vaishnavas, because the Vaishnavas only want to engage in pure devotional service to Lord Krishna in Golok Vrindavan, not Aishvarya Bhav. This in Vaikuntha is Aishvarya Bhav, where Golok Vrindavan is Madhurya Bhav, or the sweetness of pure devotional service as exhibited by the gopis, especially Srimati Radharani. So when Lord Chaitanya defeated the Mayavadis, when Lord Chaitanya went to Jagannath Puri, and when he saw Lord Jagannath, he immediately went into ecstasy and fell unconscious in the Jagannath temple. So the watchmen thought he was some crazy man. They wanted to beat him. But Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya was there. So he stopped the watchman, and he had brought Lord Chaitanya to his house. Now Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, up to that time, was a reservoir of all bad logic. He was a leader of Mayavadis, and he didn't understand Vaishnava philosophy. So Lord Chaitanya was sitting there, lying there in his room, and it appeared that he didn't know whether he was alive or dead. So he took a cotton swab and he held it to his nose, and he saw it moved slightly. So he can understand somehow or other that Lord Chaitanya was in a spiritual trance and sort of samadhi. So then the devotees came to meet Lord Chaitanya and did kirtan, and after a long time, then finally Lord Chaitanya came to external consciousness. But then the Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya said to Lord Chaitanya, "You're a sannyasi. Why are you chanting and dancing? The business of sannyasi is to hear Vedanta philosophy." So Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya said, "I'm going to speak my Vedanta philosophy to you. You kindly listen." So Lord Chaitanya said, "Okay." So he sat down and listened to Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya speak for 7 days. Then Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya said to Lord Chaitanya, "I'm speaking, but you're not asking any questions, so I can't understand whether you understand what I say or not." So Lord Chaitanya said, "I understand Vedanta philosophy very well, but your explanation I cannot understand. Your explanation is like the clouds that cover the sun. Simply word jugglery." And then he defeated Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, and he became a great Vaishnava devotee. So in this way, Srila Prabhupada, when he came to America, came to the West to preach Krishna consciousness, to inaugurate the Sankirtan movement, of course, we didn't know, people in the West don't know any philosophy. Mayavadi, they don't know Mayavadi philosophy, they don't know Vaishnava philosophy, so they're not as contaminated. People in India, most people think it's all one, to become one. We have a big program, we invite some minister, and at the end of his lecture, he'll glorify the devotees or something, but he'll say, "And now let us all become one." It happens all the time. So maybe if we get them to read Prabhupada's books, they have a change of heart. They don't think that way anymore. But generally, most people think that way. But in America and the West, people weren't contaminated by Mayavadi philosophy. Didn't have much understanding, and so they were able to accept Krishna consciousness a lot easier. So Prabhupada first wasn't successful. He tried to start the League of Devotees in Jhansi, but he wasn't very successful. But when he went to America, started preaching, then he became successful. And then the movement spread all over the world. So this is the mission of Lord Chaitanya. He came 500 years ago to preach Krishna consciousness, Harinam, 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 Eva Kevalo, Glunastevanas, Nestevanas, Gatyaranyata. So in this age of Kali Yuga, the only way is mentioned 3 times, no other way, but the chanting the holy name. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So this is the Chaitodarpanam Marjanam. By chanting the holy name, the heart becomes cleansed of all contamination. Because of dirt in the heart, we are covered over. We can't understand anything about Krishna, and people are envious of Krishna. That's why devotees are, and demons, there's always the demoniac element in the world that's trying to stop the devotees. We are simply chanting and dancing in the street, distributing books. These are not crimes, but still they arrest the devotees. In Russia, during the communists, they sent 2 people to Siberia for preaching Krishna consciousness. And when they got to Siberia, the people in the jail said, "What's their crime?" They said, "Well, we don't know. They haven't committed any crime." But because they're envious of Krishna and envious of devotees, they always give trouble to devotees. So there's 2 kinds of people in the world. Those are innocent people and the envious people. So the devotees, we preach to the innocent people and avoid the envious people and those who are simply make a judgment by seeing the devotees. But those people who make some inquiry and start to associate with devotees, then they also become devotees and see that lifestyle and the life of the devotee is much better than in the material life in the material world, which is a hard struggle for existence. So we always exist as individuals. We never stop being as individuals. And next verse says, "Dehinosmin yata dehe komaram yovanam jara yata dehan parapaptir diras tatra namuyate." So we have this exhibit in Prabhupada's museum in the front of the temple, the changing body exhibit. People see it. I don't know if they understand it or not, but it's showing how the soul is transmigrating from one body to the next. They think the body is growing, but it's not. It's changing every moment. We're changing our bodies until the time of death. And then it says that the conditioned soul, at the time of death, he takes another body, just like the aroma is carried in the air. So it's very subtle, but we have the gross body and the subtle body. So the subtle body of mind, intelligence, false ego accompanies the individual soul to his next body. So if you're sinful, then you go to Yamaraj and get judged and have to take a lower species, take a body in a different species life. But we always have a body, we always have a form in whatever condition it may be. So this whole idea of becoming one or everything's nothing, people were preaching to me before I was a devotee that everything is nothing. So if everything's nothing, then why are you talking to me? If you're nothing, we don't want to hear it from you, because everything's nothing. So it doesn't make sense. And Mayavadi philosophy doesn't make sense. But if people hear it, even Advaita Acharya, he wanted to get the favor of Lord Chaitanya, so he preached Mayavadi philosophy. And Lord Chaitanya asked Advaita Acharya, "Acharya, what is better, Gyan or devotional service?" And Advaita Acharya replied, "Well, Gyan is better." And Lord Chaitanya became furious and started beating Advaita Acharya. And his wife came and stopped him. He said, "He's an old man, you're going to kill him." But Advaita Acharya was very happy because he accomplished his goal. Because before that, Lord Chaitanya, he didn't like that Lord Chaitanya was showing him so much respect. But he had 6 sons, and 3 of them, they all heard Mayavadi philosophy from their father. So 3 of them became Mayavadis, and 3 of them became great Vaishnavas. So Mayavadi philosophy is, although it doesn't make sense, people hear it and take to it anyhow. So we should not be confused by Mayavadi philosophy. We should not be confused by reading Bhagavad Gita and studying Srimad Bhagavatam, Chaitanya Charitamrita, all these literatures. Then we won't become confused about what's what and who's who, like the common men in this material world. So you can stop there. Anybody have any questions, comments? Alright, Bhagavad Gita, Antaraj, Bhagavad Gita as it is, Ki Jai.